All right, Peter, welcome. What can people learn today from listening to this episode?
Thank you, Marcel. Well, what you could learn is how to build a business from 0 to 20 million and how to do a successful buy and build, and of course, how to successfully exit your business.
Amazing. Let's dive in.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Amsterdam Founders Club podcast. Peter Michels scaled his tax advisory and accountancy business from 0 to 20 million in yearly revenue before successfully exiting. He's here to share with us what worked, lessons learned along the way, and how he would do it 10 times faster if he had to do it all over again. Peter, welcome to the Amsterdam Founders Club podcast. Very good to have you here.
Thank you very much, Marcel, and nice to be here.
We met in New York a couple of months ago, and here we are.
Yeah, nice.
Were you always naturally an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's really a nice question because we haven't talked about this either, but I was actually. I usually tell this story when I speak, but I used to start with washing cars, and my father asked me one time to wash his car, and he really motivated me to ask the neighbor and the next one and the next one. So that's what I started doing, and I was really entrepreneuring with that, going door to door to wash people's cars. And after that, I had my own. I used to play tennis. And when I used to play tennis, I played a lot of matches. And when you have a tennis racket and you know you've tennis, you have these strings and they break. So I bought my own machine because it was costing me a lot of money to have it fixed. And then I was doing that for everybody. So that was my second business. And again, until, at one certain point, I really started my own business after, 2 or 3 years in which I was working for accounting firms. Yeah.
So at a very young age, you went door to door, cold outreach to
Yeah.
sell car wash services.
Cold out, really hustling.
Yeah.
Doing it for friends and family and door to door and washing everybody's car. With really, the real fun of it is that when I think back of that, about that time, that I had these different price models for interior, exterior, total price with discount. So could do an upsell like washing and cleaning, waxing the car. Yeah, it's real fun if you think about that. Yeah, really. And with the string business, the different strings, you could buy add-ons and you could buy grips. And yeah, it's real fun to think back about that time. And it was, of course, all small when I look back at it, but it was really big when I was doing it at that point. Yeah.
How old were you when you started going door to door?
Maybe 11.
11.
Yeah.
And then your father inspired you, motivated you to do that.
Yeah, he really did. He just encouraged me to go door to door, and maybe you can call your uncle and you call your aunt, and they lived in the same village. But more and more I got knocking on doors like, do you need to have your car washed or whatever. And that's the way I really grew that business until up to a certain point when you get a bit older and you get in puberty and you're not really motivated to do that. That's great as well to think about that. Motivation is, of course, everything when you are in business. And when I got less motivated, obviously I went to do something else.
Yeah. That's when the fire was gone from that specific activity.
Yeah, and that's like what I always say at this point. When you don't have the passion, it's really, really difficult to build a business.
Yeah. And what is the business that you actually scaled from 0 to 20 million? What type of business was that?
Yeah, so I had an accounting firm. I started an accounting firm. I used to work for a small company in Rotterdam, and after 2 years or something like that, I got a bit bored because I knew the trick. I knew how to do accounting. I knew how to do tax advisory. I was good with people. So we discussed like, should I build an own office in a different town, different village? So that's what we did. But I really noticed that I was only doing the job for Rotterdam. So I wasn't really building my own company within the company. I was just doing my work in another place. So, well, that was close to home. So that was fine, but it wasn't really what I was thinking about. So after a while, I just decided I could do this myself. And again, that's funny. Again, I got motivated by someone else. And my wife, she said, well, you just need to go do this because we know you're good at this and just go. That's a fun fact, actually, that other people are motivating me to do things while I always think I motivate myself. However, I started this accounting firm and from zero, June 1st, 2005. And I know this so well because this is the day my daughter was born. So my daughter was born in the middle of the night. And this same day, I went to the Chamber of Commerce in Rotterdam to found my business, actually. And from that point on, I just started. And every day, the first couple of weeks, my daughter was with me on the top floor of our office, next to the washing machine and dryer. And after a couple of weeks, I decided, well, maybe it's time for an office. And then it really started to take off. Yeah.
Some would say like that's an interesting moment to start your business when someone security and financial stability.
Yeah. But I'm more or less an entrepreneur as my main identity. I feel that I'm an entrepreneur. I always say that. So it's over everything. And I like to take a chance because I believe in myself. And I know things will be fine. I always tell others things will be fine, and I know for a fact that things will be fine for myself. So financial stability wasn't really something I was thinking about. And I also don't believe that, financial stability will be built in the moment, but that you can build it over time. I have learned that I'm a smart entrepreneur, so I could grow rather quickly. So when I was starting out, I saw a chance to buy a real small company, like it was 30,000 euros or something, in clients. And after maybe less than a year, I already quadrupled the business. So I was fine really after 1 year. And after that, we went growing and growing and growing.
Right.
Yeah.
So you started your own business and then you acquired a little business.
Yeah.
And you grew that.
Yeah, really small. As in, the first acquisition.
How were you able to get in touch with that first company that you bought? Like, how did that go?
Yeah, it's always through my network, and that's something that still works for me. So I know you're fond of personal interaction. That's what the Founders Growth Night, of course, has all started with, this personal interaction. And that's what I do as well. So I just meet people, I tell my story. I'm never selling anything. I'm just always telling my story. And one way or the other, people think of me as in, if you're doing this, maybe this is an interesting partner for you. So that's really what happened. Someone that I knew connected me to someone that I didn't know, and we got connected and we talked about him scaling down his business, and he said, well, maybe we can help each other. And that's, some of my principles are find the win-win, Covey, classic Stephen Covey, search for the win-win, and that's what I do as well. So search for the win-win, and we found each other, we helped each other out. We're still in contact even after 25 years, not as much as in the first days, but of course we still have contact now and again. Yeah.
And you had this portfolio of clients that you took over, and they came to you for their accountancy and tax advisory work,
Yeah,
right? And at that point, it was just you doing all the work?
Yeah, me doing all the work on the second floor of our house. And from that point on, I started acquiring, of course. So what I was doing, I was hustling again. I was downloading these Excel lists from the Chamber of Commerce for every starting entrepreneur, and I just wrote them a letter. It was in that time that, I guess there was email already. I know there was email, of course, but I just wrote them a letter. And after I wrote the letter and I thought it could be interesting, I called them. So I really reached out to get in contact, and people started to get in contact with me. And it usually works this way, that when I connect, people feel confident, I give them confidence, and I know that I'm good in what I do. And after a while, I just was grow. And from that point on, the company was vested, actually, and people were finding us instead of that I needed to find them. So after a couple of years, I used to say at one point, close all windows, close all doors, otherwise clients will be coming. A
good problem to have.
Yeah, that was a good problem to have, yeah.
Yeah, so you're really good at sales, it sounds like it, even if it's like, if it doesn't feel or sound like sales, like you're good at getting clients in the door.
Yeah, sales in my manner.
Yeah.
Really relaxed, just connecting to people, not really selling, but knowing what people need, feeling what people need, and not really about telling what I do. Usually I just give comfort to people by asking what they do.
Yeah.
I'm talking rather a lot for my way, but
in this conversation,
yeah, usually I'm just the guy who listens.
Right. Yeah, but you also take a lot of proactive action. Like if I look in the Founders Club if I look at starting entrepreneurs, a lot of them are doing things that are like a distraction, but they don't really get the revenue in the door. And it sounds like you, from the very beginning, you prioritized getting new business.
Yeah, and that's what you do when you're scaling a business, right? You need to prioritize. And the fun fact is that even in front of before this podcast, we discussed this, that it's a question of focus or non-focus. So what do you focus on? And if you have difficulty focusing, what do you not focus on? If you know what not to focus on, it might be a bit less of a distraction, actually. Yeah. So when I think of building a business, it's like, it's the model, it's a framework I use. It's a simple framework. It really is a simple framework. And framework is simple as well, because simple is for strategy, income, mindset, people, leadership, and execution. And if you focus on one of these points, you will go faster. So if you're starting a business and you're at zero, what do you need to focus on? What do you reckon you need to focus on when you have nothing? Might be cash flow, right? So that's income. And when you have your income, you have your money to maybe start buying or acquiring a team. And when you have a team, you can go faster. And you still need to focus a little bit on cash flow, but you have your revenues, you have your model. And then you get your team, and then you can accelerate. And of course, beforehand, you have an idea, you have a strategy. But if you have nothing and you just need to, get your income.
Focus on income, yeah.
Focus on income. Otherwise, you can build your plans as much as you want, but sometimes you just need to call somebody.
Yeah.
This is what I always say when people have cash flow issues. Who are you going to call? There used to be the Siri Ghostbusters, but don't call the Ghostbusters. Just call someone you know. Like, for example, if you have the Amsterdam Founders Club. So if I'm searching for founders, who do I call? I call Marcel at first. Hey, Marcel, do you think there's somebody I could connect to? Not like I'm going to do business with you, but maybe you know somebody who can connect me to someone I can do business with.
Ask for an introduction.
Ask for an introduction.
Yeah. And we already touched on this a little bit, like the team. How was it like going from it just being you doing all the work for your clients to getting your first team member?
Yeah, that was really like a journey in that way, that I also quit because I thought, I don't know if I want to work with colleagues anymore, because, well, not really need to go into that, but I didn't at that point feel happy with colleagues. And that's another incentive to start my own business. I thought, well, I'm going to do this myself. I can do this, etc. But then I was on holiday, and well, my business was running, and I was on holiday. Well, you can imagine when you're really small, you're on your holiday, you're doing your business, you have your wife, you have your first child. Well, that was really a bit of a mix-up. So I thought, well, when I get back, I need to get my team up and running. But it's scary when you're small. So I started with an intern. And, well, I thought, that's nice. He can do business for me. And from that point on, I got my first team member. And after that, it really went fast because I thought, well, this is easy. And, of course, it's logical, but it's more or less fear that holds you back. That's always the point. Fear always holds you back. You decide not to do anything because you're afraid. But what if you weren't afraid? What could happen if you get your team members? And when my team was starting, it was really convenient for me because there were specialties. They were doing business for me. And I could do what I was good at. And I could do what really gave me a lot of energy. And from that point on, everybody was more or less doing what they were good in. And that accelerated growth as well.
And what is the thing you kept focusing on?
People, connecting to people, talking to people, getting clients, but also talking to clients about their business. And that's the fun thing. I had a tax advisory office and accounting office, but the thing I was doing was always talking to people. That was the fun for me. So I've been more or less a business coach for 20 years now, but I never really called it like that. I was just the advisor in the firm. I know about taxes, of course. I know a lot about taxes, and I know about accounting, but it isn't really my passion, actually. My passion is just to be with people.
Yeah, and that made you probably so good at getting both your clients and your team.
Yeah. And when you grow, that's also the difficulty, because why are people in your team? Why do you reckon people are in your team? People are in your team because of you. And that's what I noticed after a couple of years, when my role was more and more in the background and somebody else came in as a manager, as a leader. But not everybody, of course, has the leadership skills. And there's a lot of things you can learn, but, well, you can't be me, and you don't need to be me. You don't even want to be me, I guess. But if somebody's different than me, that means values in a company change. The culture changes, and the mission and the vision probably don't change, but values change. And so you get a cultural change. And when you're growing your business, you need to see that for what it is. And you can see that in two ways. One way, the culture changes and you accept that. Or you make sure the culture doesn't change. And that means you have to connect the right people that fit to your values and that fit to your mission and fit to your culture.
Yeah. And I imagine the first hires are really important to set the course.
The first hires, of course, because they are, in fact, the people that match most with your values. But what we usually do is that these people are more or less the same as you. And could work, but most of the time that doesn't work.
And you already knew how to hire complementary when you just started out when your first business?
Yeah, because what I hired was people to do what I don't really like, and that's accounting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm good at it, but it's not something I want to do. I'm not really the guy who wants to sit behind the computer and make annual accounts. Or I did that for a while, but after a while I got bored. So I knew I got bored. So now I hired people to do that. And at first I was doing wage salary calculations for all our clients, but I didn't really like that. So I hired someone to do that for me. And after a while, of course, I'm an entrepreneur and I was leading in the company. But I always say, well, it's like you're the coach in the business, you're the manager in the business, or you're more or less the visionary in the business. Well, I'm a lousy manager, I can say that. So I was hiring a manager, somebody who could do the managing in the company. So
at what point? Like, which number was he?
Well, already when we were, the first manager was, and he was a she. The first manager was actually from within. So after a while, I saw these management skills in her, and we were growing to 5. And at that point, I thought, well, it's really a lot of managing actually in the business. And it's not
you were doing a lot of managing instead of doing what you liked, talking with people, clients, and
and she loved to do the managing actually. So she took over that part, so I could do more of what I wanted to do and grow the business further and further.
Yeah. You make it sound so easy, but a lot of founders have problems like getting from one person themselves to actually those first 5 or 10 team members. How did you even find those people and how did you select them?
Yeah, the fun part, it's all fun. I have 4, maybe it's good to start with that so people understand what I mean, but there are 4 important keys for growing a business. And that's passion, that's a good plan, that's mindset, and fun. When it's fun, it's easy. When you have the passion, it's easy. When you have a good plan, it's easy. When you have the right mindset, it's easy. And it's all easy when you have it all combined. But that's the difficulty, actually. So how do I know how to find people? Well, it's more or less a plan. So you want to go to maybe 1 million in a year. Well, where are you now? Where do you need to go? And what do you need to get there? Without, you need to focus on the goal, but you really need to be have your eyes open just to see that there's more than only the goal. So when you know in the first phase that you are going somewhere, what do I need now? And at first you need to say to yourself, I can't do this alone. You're not going to make 1 million. So you need to get rid of the fear to hire somebody. You are going to invest. You need to invest if you're growing your business. And where do you find people? And that's something that I often see. So you're building a business and you have this plan and you know how it works and you're really good in what you do and you can even sell what you do. And then you need somebody to go and help you. What do I see? The guy, of course, or the girl, whoever, who needs somebody to work for them is writing I'm not native English. What's the word? The vacature. Like,
the job offer. Yeah, the vacancy.
Sure, thank you very much. The vacancy. But what do you do when you write that? You write upon yourself. So it's like you write what you want and you write more or less, the way you feel. And what would happen if you would really write down what you need and what you really need? Or maybe someone else could do that for you. And you have a lot of time and interest in making that job offer. Then you would get a real good job offer. But usually I see that, I need somebody, I make a quick job offer. I don't sell it. You need to sell it to people. Why do people come work for you? Because it's sold to them. This is really what I feel. This is my mission. Yeah, this is great. These are my values. This is the company I want to work for. Great. But usually hiring people I can tell stories about that. Usually in the first part of your business, it's secondary to what you're doing. It might be primary to what you're doing at that point.
Yeah.
Because
often recruiting is like outsourced or like to someone in HR or to an external party.
Yeah.
But you, if I understand correctly, you invested your own time to write great job offers. Yeah. And you really sold why the right people should work for you and your business.
Yeah. So that's why they want to work for you, because it's me they want to work with. It's my values. because you're such a small company.
Yeah. Can you share
Me
with us
and the
like
company
what
are
you
the same.
what you sold potential employees in your job offer?
Yeah, well, I sold them more. Yeah, in the first phase, it's about more than 15 years so to 20 years. So I don't really know exactly, but I know I was always selling more or less like a feeling, like what you would be selling to clients. So, that's the values. So what do we offer? We're not an accounting firm offering accounting services and tax advisory and VAT reclaims and et cetera, et cetera. Of course, this is what you're about to be doing, but it's more the story, really the story. What kind of firm are we? And what do we do for clients? And what could it mean for you? Instead of, we are an accounting firm, we sell accountants.
Yeah. Yeah. So really sell to potential employees as if you were selling to potential
Yeah,
clients.
yeah, really connect with them. So sell the story. Yeah.
And then we're soon going to go to the private equity story and the scaling further. But
Sure.
these fundamentals are also really important. So how did
Even up
you-
to that level.
Yeah.
They're still working. They're still working, even if you're up to 10 or 15 or 20 million.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
We'll
then.
get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you hire usually the right fit, or did you often have to let people go after like half a year, or how did that work?
So, well, that's one of the reasons why I think I could grow 10 times faster now. I usually had a good fit. However, sometimes you just need to let go of someone. And that's part of it. But I now learned that when I started at that point, I would like to be a nice guy, connect with the people. Oh, it's not working like that. Maybe I can help you in your business, could do something for you so that you're happy in my business and that you stay, etc., etc. I'm a bit different now, so if it's not working, it's not working.
Yeah.
And that means, and that's not hard, that means it's not working for me, but in most cases it wouldn't be working for you either. So if it's not working for me and it's not working for you, why should we stay together? It's like a marriage. The marriage isn't working, but we stay together. Why? Because of the kids? Do you think the kids like it if you fight all day? Probably not. Probably it would be best for the kids if you get divorced. It's a short pain, but in the long game, it's better for everybody. And that's like the marriage, as you would say, with your team members as well. If it's not a fit, it's just not a fit. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, yeah, you can be held accountable.
And then have the difficult conversation early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather early than later.
Yeah.
Because all the time you invest in that is lost time. And, well, I can say this as I started this new business and I had some, I acquired somebody as a team member and I noticed that it was really helpful at that point. And after 3 months, I noticed, well, it's not helpful anymore. Well, yeah, what do? You just have the conversation. It's not hard. It's just fair. It's not working for me. Maybe it's my mistake even. Maybe I should not have hired you. However, we had expectations. And, well, you know what happens. If you don't meet expectations, there's no luck. Do you know Mo Gadot? Oh, he wrote a book about that. He was ex-CTO from Google. He wrote a book out called The Formula of Happiness. Well, it's about meeting expectations, actually. When you meet the expectations, you're happy. When you exceed the expectations, you're really happy. But if you fail to meet the expectations, you're not happy. So we're both not happy. So we quit after 3 months, no problem.
Yeah.
And then you move on. And that's the way you accelerate building your business, because it was really, really helpful. I'm really grateful that she was working for me. And it was a great period, but it was till that point that it was working.
Yeah, big lesson in here. I also know from my previous businesses that it was so difficult for me to let a team member go if it wasn't working, and I would take ownership and responsibility of problems that were not mine.
That's what happens. So don't make my life hard is something I say these days. Somebody who's working for me doesn't need to make my life difficult. I don't want that. And if you know that, you don't take over the team member's job. If you're starting to do that, you're lost. Because if you have 10 people and 20 and 100, what's happening to you? Then you really get stuck.
Yeah.
Then you really get stuck.
So can you take us on the journey that led to working with private equity? Like at the point where you started working with private equity, what was the team size, revenue size?
Yeah, so it was pre-COVID, so maybe 2019 or even 18 that I was feeling a bit slow, stuck. Business was flat. We were growing a bit, but not really that hard. The business was like 1 million. We had up and on 12 team members or something like that. And I was really stuck. Like, what am I gonna do? And my wife had switched jobs, and we had these discussions at home. And I really know that I said to her, well, baby, I can't quit. You switch your job 5 times, but I can't quit. And that's really what I believed. It was like a mindset. I was stuck in my own mindset. The story that you tell yourself obviously is true. So I couldn't sell my company. I couldn't do anything. But I didn't feel happy with it. And it's something that I long kept for myself, that I really wasn't happy. And that was really difficult, because when you know you're not happy, and you know you're not glad, and you're not feeling joy, and you have a wife and 2 kids, and you have a life, well, at that point, it's really difficult to tell them that you're not happy, but that you can't blame them. It's all in me. I have this company, and I'm not happy with it, and I don't know how to change it. So that was really a turning point for me. And at that point, I thought, okay, things are going to change right now. And that was a bit later in COVID period. It was 2020, of course, March. And I had this new employee, and she was working for me. She was only a couple of days with us, and COVID happened. So everybody went home, and I was really, really in a actually in a good place at that point, because I thought, wow, this is relaxed, no staff, running with my nephew through the area where we're living. I had a good life. There was no stress. However, I had stress for my clients, so I got up early at night to find all this information to help my clients. I made newsletters, informed them, and then, well, when it was really early in the day, maybe 1 o'clock or something, my days were finished, and there was less to do. However, it was good period for us, because we grew in that period. But in that period, I also started to write a plan, because I knew I wasn't really happy beforehand. And I said, well, let's write a plan on how to grow the business again, get the energy flowing. And we did that. And we had 7 options in the plan, like grow, of course, with new clients, but new staff, maybe merger, maybe takeover, et cetera, or maybe be taken over, sell the company. That was, well, really the final exit. It's always in a plan. What if you would sell the company? Well, it was in my plan as well, but it was really not top of mind. And then I started this plan, and in this plan, there would be a new manager, a new director even in the company, and I would be in a totally different role, and we were gonna grow. And then at a certain point, and this is what happened, and I know when it happened, and I really know how it happened. It was a Sunday, and we were going to present this plan to the staff with my new director. And I got a WhatsApp, and this WhatsApp contained the message, well, I'm not really sure if I want to do this tomorrow. And this was a plan that we've been focusing on for 1.5 years. So, well, that was more or less a disappointment, and it was really a disappointment. Maybe you can tell how I felt, but at that point I thought, okay, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I'm going to sell the company.
Yeah.
Nicely said. So that decision was made on that Sunday. And from that point on, I really thought I'm going to sell the company. So I had a buyer. And then I thought, well, that's not really connecting with my values. And I have my clients. I have my team. I feel responsible. I always feel responsible for everybody else. So that was really a difficult decision for me, but we didn't go with them. And then I met somebody, and that was, a bit later. And when I met him, that was Lucas. Lucas is the old CEO of Exact. And Exact was the software we are using, Exact software, accounting software. And Lucas and Arco is the original founder of Exact, they pitched their software at the office where I started at one point. So we worked with their software before it was on the market. So in that way, it was round for me. I thought, well, this is great. This is a great party to go work with. And they do private equity and in software and buy and build strategies. And for me, that was really, really great. So I met with Lucas for a lunch, and we had this lunch, I believe it was on a Monday, and after, I believe it was 6 hours lunch, I decided this is the party where I want to do this with. So I was acquired at that point, but, well, it's still, and of course I got some shares back for that, and we started to buy and build. And from that point on, we also acquired a big franchise organization, what would be the backbone of the organization. And from that point on, we did 15 acquisitions in a year, and we scaled the business. And, well, that was really, really a hard time, as in it was really hard work to build the business, but it's the fastest way to build a business. And lessons learned a lot, because software and accounting are totally different. Because accounting is people's business and software is not.
I want to go back a little bit to that deal that you made.
Yeah.
Initially, you were thinking to just sell the whole business.
Yeah.
And something changed and you stayed involved. Like, what was the deal eventually like? Was it the cash and deal and then...
It was more or less a good deal, like it could be a good revenue, but I didn't really feel it. Like, for me, it was, what am I going to do when I do this? So I have some cash and I don't know what to do. So that was difficult, but also it was just not a good fit. So I didn't know if it would be a good fit for my clients.
Yeah, so with the first buyer, you said no. That would have been a cash deal.
That would have been a cash deal.
And you said no to that. And then you had this conversation with the founder of Exact.
Yeah, and that was a different deal, because this was a deal in which I would stay involved. So sure, there's a cash part, and sure, there's a shares part. So as of today, I'm still shareholder of the company, only a little bit, but but I'm not really any more active in the company. But this was a good deal because Lucas and I, we shared the vision. And, well, coming back to getting your staff together, your people together, when you share the vision, that makes things really easy. And we had a vision about what the business should be looking like in the future, but also how it should be like now. And there's a lot of stress in the business. There's a lot of non-proactivity actually in the business. And we know how to change that. So these were really our focus points: get the stress out, grow, make sure you can be advising your clients beforehand instead of far too late, meeting all these deadlines, using AI, using robots, just to make the business more easy. So this vision that we shared was for me really the connection, and the fact that I could be in the board and build this business. So that's what we did.
Any advice on forging a deal like this, like the equity versus cash? Like as a founder, like making a deal like this, what should people take notice of?
Well, be advised. Let yourself be advised. Don't do this yourself. That's a good tip. And make sure the deal fits for you. Make sure there's also a cash part in it, because if you're exiting at that point, you don't know how it will go in 2 years. Yeah. I'm here now. I'm not there. So if I would have only taken shares, that wouldn't have been a good deal for me. Because
exactly.
Now I know what I have, and I know what it could have been like if it was different. But what you also need to do is make sure that you connect on the right level, not only on this vision level, but also what's going to be the plan. What really is going to be the plan? Is there a plan? And of course, we had a plan, so I knew about the plan. But I usually see that there's an idea, but no plan. Yeah, what happens if there's no plan? It's really hard to scale your business then.
And how did you get to the valuation of your business?
Well, in our business, it's really easy. Like it's X times your revenue or X times your profit, or so that's really easy in our business. But I also had it valuated, of course, by a registered valuator. So that's always a smart thing to do. I am at this point I'm working on 2 buy-ins, not for myself but for clients of mine. We just have a valuation made.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need to know what's the value. Yeah, the value, however, will never be the price. There's always a difference between valuation and price, depending on the buyer. Is it strategic? Is it staff buying in? Is it a market partner who can scale your business X times? That's always a different price and a different value.
Yeah.
But it needs to be good for you. Yeah. You need to have a good deal. And be a bit more internal than external. Because if you do this for everybody else, what's going to happen to you? And usually when you're good for yourself, only at that point you can be there for everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds a bit egocentric, maybe, but I like to believe that it's not.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. You need to be in a good place yourself to provide for others.
Yeah. Yeah. And I experience when it's not what it's like when you're not in a good place for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you cannot give, you cannot provide.
No, you cannot give, you cannot provide. And
so you got basically this like nice deal, like you had the cash, the equity, and a future for you. That sounded amazing.
Yeah.
And then you started working on this plan.
Yeah. And it was amazing. It really was amazing because it was a journey like, well, you can't grow your business this fast on your own if you don't have the equity.
What was the goal of the plan?
The eventual goal is to, not in numbers, but the goal is to have a national coverage for accounting firms and tax advisory in the Netherlands. So in every province, at least one big office, and with 50 or 60 people, so times 13 would be like 750, and maybe in Rotterdam, where the headquarters are, and in Amsterdam a bit more, but more or less like that. So it would be 50, 60, $70 million euro business. That's more or less the goal. We are not there yet, but we were about 230 staffing. So we were growing really fast. So in a year and a half, it was really, really, really growing. We did all these acquisitions. And the plan was to buy companies and put them together. And of course, we learned while we were going. If the company was too small, it's really difficult to get them in a bigger concern because of all these cultural differences. If you're a real small company, then you have different clients. If you're a real small company, you have different values. If you're a bigger company, you have different values. You have to put that together. So all these lessons were learned, of course. So even up to today, and I was there last week, I believe. We talked about this, that choices are constantly being made. So if you're not meeting goals, well, evaluate and see what you can change to make it better, or get or achieve even a greater goal than that. And so the eventual goal, the end goal is to build this big company. And well, we noticed, for example, that in Limburg, well, it's really not the market that we thought it would be, so we decided not to go there, not at this point. But we also thought about Belgium and Germany, because we think that could be, we thought. I'm not involved in that, like, I'm not in the board anymore, so I don't make decisions at all. That should be clear. But of course, I hear a lot of things, and we talk about this still. But the end game is never the end game. That's something I teach my clients now as well. So you have this big vision in 5 years, and along the way, you'll see that the big vision is great, but it could be a bit different. So that's what's happening here as well. And that's all right. But it was really a great journey. It was really a great journey because I learned so much in such short time. For me personally, as I think in personal development, even because I know I was stuck beforehand. I even was stuck in the process. So, and now that I'm out of the process, out of the business, I'm evolving again faster and faster and faster. Like, well, that's like a business as well.
Yeah.
My personal business then. Yeah.
We talked about hiring team members.
Yeah.
How about choosing businesses to acquire?
Yeah, well, that's more or less when you do a buy and build, you need to really be sure that it's gonna fit. And how do you do that? You want that the culture fits. And if it doesn't, you need to learn how to make sure it will fit. So what often is thought that, and seen as well, you just talk to management and directors or shareholders, and we have a great company, and it will be a great fit, and we're selling it to you, and price is right, everybody's happy. And then the work needs to be done. They get together. So what we did was like an introduction day, and you meet the team members, and are they gonna fit? But actually, in my opinion, that was a bit late. You want to know this for sure before you acquire.
Yeah.
Because the last thing people want, or at least 80% of the people, don't want change. Change is even the forbidden word in my vocabulary. 80% of the people doesn't want change. And there's one thing for sure in life, everything's changing. So what happens when you bring change in a company, people will say, not for me, no. So what happens is that people get sick, or people leave, or people are not that productive anymore. So what do you need to know beforehand, if you're acquiring, that the people are going to go with you, that the people gonna fit in the total, or even, could you say, maybe it could be like you acquire the company, but you don't do anything with it. That's what we did. We have one big firm, we bought it, we did nothing. They're great. They're the best performing of the entire company. Best performing branch. So what do you do beforehand? Your due diligence is more than metrics, more than data, more than legal. You should really get to know the people.
So, do you have an open conversation with the team about the potential acquisition?
Yeah, I would really advise that. Yeah. That's difficult, of course, because
Yeah,
there's
because the
confidence
owner
as
needs,
well.
yeah, exactly. The
Yeah,
owner
so
needs to be open to this as well because there is no deal made yet.
yeah, yeah, it does. So, what would you like if you're buying a company? You want to know that things are okay. So you want to know maybe we're not buying, but we're selling now, right? So I'm selling my company to you. You would like to know, are my clients satisfied? Are my people satisfied? Do I have a good plan? What does this plan look like? How is our culture? What are our values? And if you have that, it's easy to sell, actually,
Yeah.
if it's in order, of course. But if you don't have that, it's rather difficult to sell, in my opinion, because I wouldn't buy your company, not anymore, not after the lessons I've learned. So I would say if you're selling at one point, so you're always thinking about an exit when you start, maybe there will be an exit at one time, get these things in order. And if you're buying, make sure you check these things. And if they're not there, what does it say? What does it say if you don't want to measure your client satisfaction?
Yeah.
Or your team satisfaction? What does it say about your team or your clients? Well, I know the answer. And it's fear. You don't want to ask them. You might be afraid of the answer you're getting. But what would happen if you would ask? It would help. Of course, it would help. Because you would even get a better company. And who are you afraid of? Usually, these 3 clients that are gonna piss you off.
Yeah.
And these 3 clients, in my opinion, are usually the clients you don't want to work for. And yet, you're still focusing on them. Or there's one staff member that you know that's gonna piss you off.
It sounds like preparing your business to be sold and even starting the process. Like, even if you don't sell, you learn so much to improve your business.
Always. Yeah. Customer satisfaction, team satisfaction. That's something you want to know.
Yeah. And these were the things you would objectively determine before acquiring a business.
Yeah. So we suggested that. And we didn't do that in the start. Later on, we started suggesting that. When it was not a common in the company, we would suggest they would do that.
Yeah.
Because they want to sell, we want to buy. This is just something that we agree upon, that we want to see this.
Yeah. Based on what you've learned doing all these acquisitions, can you share some lessons with us and maybe also one mistake that you made that you do totally differently next time?
Well, there are so many lessons. What would be best is make sure when you're doing it like this, 15 acquisitions in a year and a half, you want to have an acquisition team. You want to make sure they can land at your company. You want to make sure that the clients of the company you have acquired are immediately brought up to speed and that they know what they can expect. So meeting expectations on any level is the biggest lesson. Like I said, it's if you meet expectations, you feel happy. If you don't, you feel sad. And when they feel sad, people are leaving, clients are leaving, even the managers who sold or the directors who sold will be leaving. Of course, after 2 years, when they're not satisfied, they will be leaving. If that's in the contract, you're staying for 2 years. But everybody's getting less and less and less productive. So it goes, you see it in revenue, you see it in profit. Get an acquisition team beforehand. Make sure that you can land within the greater firm, that everybody knows what they're expecting, can be expecting. Yeah, so that's really the biggest lesson. But also, there's no place for everybody when you acquire companies. People need to be let go. Don't be afraid to do that. There's no new role for everybody. And that's also something that you should think of when you're doing this. Not something that's nice, but it is part of the game. And you can't be sweet for everybody, I'm afraid. This part of the game, it's rather hard. Yeah, well, so many lessons also for myself is that I got in a new role as well. Of course, I went into the board. Explicitly, I didn't want to be the CEO, so I was the CFO.
You didn't want to be the CFO.
I did not want to be the CEO, explicitly. And I was the CFO, so I was responsible, of course, for numbers, etc. But I also needed to deal with my own company. So I had this company, I was CFO. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, you were still running the business that you had sold in addition to being on the board and being the CFO.
Yeah. So I was running the business, then I became the CFO, and then it was all together. So it was quite a lot. Yeah. I worked many hours, and I needed to turn over my business to the new company. So you need to make sure that I needed to make sure that that process was handled with care. At the same time, I needed to have attention for my new job. So, well, that was a bit of a challenge for me. And eventually, well, everything worked out on the one hand. On the other hand, I'm here, I'm not there. So
yeah, you're doing something differently.
I'm doing something differently at the moment. So that means that, it wasn't really what I expected. Yeah, more or less. I'd say that. Yeah. So even there, the expectations were different for me. But it's okay. It's really okay. People leave. I leave. I left. That's the way it goes. I've learned my lessons, and I'm really grateful for this whole experience because, well, it was a wild ride, but it was a great ride. I've learned so much more than what I could tell in an hour of a podcast.
But being a CFO in a big organization, being on a board is totally different from like basically bootstrapping your own business and knowing everyone.
Yeah, I'm just an entrepreneur, and I love making decisions. I love making faults as well. Mostly not in the moment, but afterwards I think, oh wow, that was a great lesson. But when you're CFO in a big company, it's different. And when you have shareholders, it's different. You're not the guy who makes all the decisions. And that's good. That's really good. But I know now that when I'm over 100 or over 200, this role is not for me. And I knew this real soon.
Over 100, 200 people, then it's not the role for you.
No, not the role for me. But I knew this real soon because I'm not a manager.
Yeah.
And I was in a management kind of role. So that's my biggest lesson. Don't become the manager.
Yeah, unless you're the manager person.
Yeah, but even I just don't like managing.
Yeah.
So I'm more like the coach and the visionary. Yeah. I have these ideas, and I really love being with people. I love coaching people in my business, outside of my business. I love inspiring people. Even that's my mission. Well, I found out my mission. That's a great lesson I've got. So my mission is to inspire and motivate people to grow and be happy and joyful.
And this is what you do now,
and
right?
This is what I do now.
Can you share a little bit more about what you're currently working on?
Yeah, sure. So after I quit, I started this new firm. Well, it was more or less a firm I already had, but I started giving it new energy. So I'm helping entrepreneurs grow, usually when they get stuck. So you're maybe in a growth phase with your business, and that's why you get stuck. So it could be that you don't know how to build your team, or it could be that you don't know how to scale up, or it could be that you have leadership issues. You could also be stuck within, like mentally, so you have to overcome things. Because if you get on a certain age, or you get to a certain age, not because of the age, but things happen in life. And these things that happen in life, maybe you get married, somebody dies, you get kids. Maybe even if you move or you start a company or exit a company, things within you change. That's something that really happens. And that's why you could get stuck mentally or on the inside. But if you have a business, you might make choices that you don't want to make because of the fact that you're stuck inside you. Or maybe you don't feel happy or joyful. And that's when I come in. So that's what I do as a growth strategist. I help you grow. It could be you, it could be your company. And I'm a speaker, inspiring people, motivating people to have a joyful and happy life more than entrepreneur. Because I say, I'm an entrepreneur. That's the first, who are you? I'm Peter, I'm an entrepreneur. That's what I say. But I'm also a father. I'm also a husband. I'm also the son of my mother. I have all these different identities, and yet still, I usually say I'm an entrepreneur. So that's a real big identity, but it doesn't need to get in the way of all the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an overall life picture.
Yeah, but if it gets in the way because you're not happy as an entrepreneur, it will get in the way of your life. And that's really what overcome me. And that's what I help entrepreneurs with now, not to make that happen or just to get rid of that and make sure you lead a happy life.
When you say stuck, can you give an example of that? What does that mean? Is like plateaued revenue, or like I don't want to make changes to my team? What does it mean to be stuck as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so when you're stuck as an entrepreneur, I usually say that the entrepreneur is the bottleneck of each organization at every level. So you start your business and you do that with a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and things go like in flow. You recognize, right? Easy. And then there comes a point, and well, you might even be with your first team member. Oh, well, I don't want to hire somebody. I'm afraid to hire somebody. And at that point, you're not growing. But I think a bit more further on, like when you were 10 or 20, and at that point, you get stuck in your role, perhaps. Like you're not the manager like I was, or you don't know how to manage a team, or you have teams like you have 20 people, and they're not teams, but they're just 20 people. How do you do that? So that's all about leadership. But it's also could also be like a mindset issue. Can you carry building your company to 100 people? You might want it, but it's not happening. Why is it not happening? Things used to go so well for us, and now they're not. What happened? What changed? Why you might think that nothing changed. But it could also be like the strategy is fine, the team is fine, cash flow is great, but still we're not growing, or we're growing in revenue but not in profit. So maybe you're in the next growth phase and you need to focus on execution, like in systems, communication could be different. How do you do that? And identifying your bottlenecks at that point, that's where I help, but that's usually where you get stuck. Like you don't see what's happening. And I always say, when it's about setting goals and growing your business, you're always focused on goals. And when you're focusing, and well, I usually make the example, like if you're focusing, you're seeing this. And if you zoom out, you see all the rest. And when you do that, you see the opportunities and you see what's happening, and you might even not see what the resolution would be, but you would see what's happening. And that's the point that you are probably stuck. And get help at the right moment.
Actually, circling back to you then, what are your goals for the next 5? Where do you want to be in 5 years?
Well, I always say in 5 years, I want to be in Ahoy. Well, if you're from Rotterdam, you know Ahoy. Maybe you know Ahoy. Yeah, sure. So that would be nice. That's what I'm dreaming of. Like it's a big
as a speaker.
Yeah,
so
like
a big
venue. Yeah, so it could be any other venue. So, but a big stadium. Writing a book, these are the big goals, but mostly I'm just living my mission. Like, I want to inspire people. I want to motivate people to grow, be happy and joyful. And not, well, of course, all people, but especially in business, it's like for entrepreneurs. Yeah. So these are my big dreams. And of course, I set my goals, but I'm not pinned on them.
Yeah, you do the habits that will reach you, most likely the goals, but you're... Yeah,
walk the talk.
Yeah, maybe you get to either much bigger stadiums or something completely different.
Yeah, the fun fact is that I set my book for next year, and well, I'm already writing it, so it will be done next year, but probably a lot earlier than I expected.
Thanks, Peter. I have one final question before we wrap up. If you could share one message with every founder in the world, what would it say?
One message to every founder in the world would be, do what you love. Do it with joy. Do it with passion. Make a plan and don't get stuck.
It's truly what you live up to. I know you, and you live by what you say. Thanks so much, Peter. Really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It was real nice.